Some pain doesn't scream. It lingers, shaping the way we love, the chances we avoid, the walls we build without knowing. Carl Jung understood this. Until the wound is seen, it repeats, gently, quietly, in the shape of every missed connection. Tonight we won't look away. We'll sit beside these old scars, not to reopen them, but to hear what they've been trying to say all along. You are not broken. You're unfinished. And your patterns, they are just echoes waiting for someone, you, to finally listen. Softly, we embark on this journey of introspection, an unfolding path into the quiet whispers of our soul. Within the boundless realm of our inner world, there lies a tapestry woven with the threads of experiences and memories, a mosaic of shadows and light. It is here in this sacred space that we begin to listen, truly listen, without haste or judgment, to the ancient stories our wounds have patiently held. These stories are not tales of logic, but rather emotional echoes, vibrating with the essence of our experiences, waiting to be seen and understood. Carl Jung once illuminated the nature of neurosis as not merely a condition, but a substitute for legitimate suffering. In his wisdom, we see sabotage not as a rebellion, so much as a persistent echo of unresolved pain, a silent reenactment born in the shadows of the past. These wounds, often perceived as merely blemishes on our psyche, are not quirks but intrinsic parts of our psychological lexicon. They narrate the silent ruptures formed in moments of vulnerability and are crucial to unlocking the cycles of emotional sabotage that so often bind us. As unwelcome as they may seem, our wounds are the unseen architects of our reactions and decisions, sculpting the very foundations of our psyche. They construct chains of emotional responses, orchestrating patterns of avoidance and repetition born from fear, anger, and grief. Left unattended, the shadow we each carry becomes a relentless architect of these cycles. It moulds and manipulates our responses, embedding itself in the framework of our identity and worldview, shielding us from encounters that could transform and liberate us. Delving deeper, we uncover the paradoxical nature of our self-sabotage, a seeming contradiction at the core of the unconscious mind. Sabotage is not just an act of destruction, but a profound signal, a call for introspection, a paradox where subconscious cries are misunderstood. Jung reminds us that what remains unconscious will manifest as fate, pushing us to engage in dialogue with these shadowy aspects, urging us to reframe our understanding of the language of psyche. In the gentle illumination of these realizations, we begin the delicate art of listening to the narratives that reside within us. Here, in the tranquil refuge of self-reflection, we surrender to the themes of sabotage without the impulse to judge or fix, allowing the psyche to unfold its deepest secrets. Jung saw this inner dialogue as transformative, a sacred conversation that welcomes the forgotten parts of ourselves back into the light. As we bear witness to these stories painlessly etched in our memories, we embark on a path of resolution. This pathway does not seek to erase the wounds, but to transform them into instruments of healing and freedom. It's here amid the reconciliation of shadow and light where we find the essence of philosophical realism, a journey that transcends the confines of a wounded identity, evolving into stories of liberation and authenticity. Leaning into this wisdom, we recognize the empowering potential within each narrative born from our psyche. As we align ourselves with the conscious authorship of our stories, we craft from the remnants of shadow and ink a new reality rooted in presence and honour. moving gracefully from survival into a space of significance, the narrative transforms from an echo of limitation to a symphony of possibility. Embracing the paradox of our sabotage as both teacher and wound marks a profound shift in perception. Within this sanctuary of introspection, we encounter our patterns, not as adversaries, but as wise guides steering us toward individuation, a return to wholeness and coherence. As we openly welcome these cycles, we unlock the insights they offer, revealing the compass directed towards untapped potential. Ultimately, the wound serves as an ethereal gateway that beckons us to unity through our fragmented pain. In the labyrinth of psychological discovery, fleeing from shadows only serves to deepen their grip. Wholeness is not found in eradication, but through courageously traversing the terrain of our suffering, allowing their alchemical transformation to guide us toward compassion and wisdom. As this chapter draws to its gentle close, we honour the timeless pursuit of authenticity, embracing the wound as a portal leading to rebirth and wholeness. This realization transforms constriction into expansion and vulnerability into strength. Through this process, we find a gracious acceptance of our imperfect selves, a true essence of healing beyond the illusions of perfection, toward a sovereign spirit open to infinite becoming. Here, with each step taken toward integration, the wound enriches our journey, whispering stories of the journey yet to come. In the tender landscape of our earliest years, each child is a vessel for stories written in whispers and shadows, absorbing the world in its raw form. Here, amidst the quiet exchanges of heartbeats and glances, the subconscious begins its task, crafting patterns from the strands of experience. Some children, finding refuge in silence, learn to weave their thoughts into invisibility to skirt the chaos that lurks in the loud moments of life. In homes etched with tension, silence grows as a sanctuary, wrapping the heart in its quiet embrace, equating the absence of sound with protection. Thus, the first seeds of identity lie dormant, nestled within these survival tactics, waiting for the wind of time to shape them into the familiar forms of adulthood. As we step across the threshold into the adult world, those childhood echoes do not dissipate. They deepen and weave into the fabric of our being. The silence that once offered refuge becomes an invisible barrier, a wall preventing words from reaching out to connect. The quest for perfection, a childhood shadow born from a desire for acceptance, morphs into a relentless chase that spirals into self-doubt. These vestiges of youth carved by time and experience anchor themselves in our identity, intricate yet inseparable, until conscious effort seeks to reveal them. In this intricate dance of memory, our emotions find not just a home in thoughts, but a residence within our very being. Emotional memories etch themselves into the nervous system, bypassing logic to settle deep in our bones. Fear, love, survival. These maestros of our internal symphony conduct their silent tunes, shaping neural pathways that steer us through the vast landscapes of relationships and tension. The brain, a guardian of these roots, chooses default paths forged in childhood, its decisions echoing with every heartbeat, often unaware of the outdated maps it follows. Environments that once demanded silence as survival become the architects of withdrawn adult identities, threading isolation into the heart's fabric. Here, silence becomes a mask, a cocoon spun from fear of rejection and vulnerability. Yet, the adult world craves dialogue, for relationships are crafted and nurtured through whispered truths. When silence clings stubbornly, it drapes the individual in an invisible cloak of restraint, a barrier against the sincere dance of connection and understanding. Words linger unspoken, weighed down by fears unprocessed, desires unanswered. Perfectionism, a trait often cloaked in the garb of virtue, unfolds its true nature from the soil of insecurity. As children, taught by stern guardians that love is conditional upon flawlessness, we wear this mask to guard against the chaos within and without. Grown and adrift, the need for perfection turns each task into a trial, leaving one weary from an endless pursuit of approval. Yet this quest, while once a fortress against judgment, transforms into a cage, restricting growth and fostering a cycle of self-sabotage. Aggression, too, like a misunderstood creature of the night, often masks itself as a shield. For many, it offers the only certainty in a world of shifting sands, a way to protect the inner sanctum from perceived threats. What begins as a determined stand becomes, in adulthood, a fortress, keeping connection at bay. Relationships are war zones, peppered with skirmishes and truce, muddying the landscape of love and trust. The cycle of self-sabotage whispers its ancient tales, guiding lives with soft insistence. Beneath the surface of conscious choices, these old narratives run deep, scripting actions and beliefs. Entwined with identity, they masquerade as personality, their remnants alive with subtext of survival. Within this quiet storm, the heart beats a rhythm of familiarity and fear, clinging to echoes of the past. Isolation, though protective in youth, becomes a template of loneliness in the tapestry of adulthood. To turn inward feels safe, a self-imposed exile drifting on the winds of imagined autonomy. But as solitude bleeds into isolation, the heart's fortress becomes a prison, and the path to connection lies obscured. Here lies the challenge: to confront this blueprint, to rewrite the tale with threads of openness and vulnerability, offering a hand to the warmth of communion. In the hushed echoes of childhood, the narratives of old continue to shape the landscape of our lives. These stories, crafted in moments of survival, guide the subconscious, with tales wrought from fear and safety. I am not enough, they echo. I must remain hidden. Recognizing these chants marks the first step on the path to liberation. It is not a condemning of the past, but an understanding, transforming the narrative from a shadow of fear to a story of empowerment and rebirth. To unravel these threads, one must embark on a journey bathed in introspection and yearning for understanding. The corridors of the mind invite us in, their shadows dancing with light in a timeless waltz. Within these depths, through practice and patience, lies the power to trace behaviours back to their source, meeting them with compassion rather than judgment. Through meditation, journaling, and reflection, one discovers the insights needed to cultivate a conscious identity, one that acknowledges but refuses to be bound by past wounds. In this sacred journey, survival itself blossoms into sovereignty. Here, amidst the quiet revolutions of the heart, the individual finds their freedom, rewriting tales of past identities into narratives of strength and authenticity. Sovereignty is the soil from which the self grows, a realm where past shadows are woven seamlessly into the tapestry of the present. And, as it emerges, the soul learns to dance not with survival's chains, but with the vibrant truth of autonomy. In the gentle embrace of night, where thoughts drift like autumn leaves upon a whispering stream, we find ourselves guided by avoidance, that subtle companion who walks softly in shadowed corners of the mind. Avoidance is a guardian cloaked in the rags of resistance, ever steering our hearts away from perceived dangers, wrapping us in the comfort of familiar fears. It is a dance of echoes from an unseen past where every sidestep is etched with the ink of memories long buried, yet ever present. These memories, like spirits of ancient sorrows, shape the landscapes of our emotional world, creating illusions of safety by constructing invisible walls. The irony, as Jung gently reminds us, is that what we resist not only persists but commands the stage from the shadows, pulling our strings with a mastery unseen. Our lives unfold within the confines of these quiet barriers, built brick by brick through fears of confrontation, change, and the ghostly spectres of past failures. We construct prisons of protection, woven through with the threads of anxiety and stagnation, until the pathways of our minds solidify into rutted roads of retreat. Yet within the fog of avoidance lies an unspoken invitation, a path lit softly toward healing and liberation, a gentle reminder that what the heart both fears and craves is the light of understanding and reconnection. Confrontation, often mistaken for conflict's fiery roar, is a whisper of truth seeking liberation. In childhood, where voices were quieted and authenticity cloaked for survival, the seeds of silence were planted deep. As adults, we carry this legacy, a reflex to avoid, to silence the mind's restless questions. Yet, in the heart of confrontation lies not chaos but clarity, a space to breathe deeply in the presence of our whole selves. It is an act of grace, requiring not armour but empathy, as we gently turn to face the shadows cast by our unspoken truths and unvoiced needs. Jung unfolded that what blinds us in others are mirrors reflecting our shadows back to us. To admit this truth is to invite the healing that lies on the other side of avoidance, to seek sanctuary, not in the solitude of silence, but in the courage to speak and be seen. Strangely, avoidance wraps itself around joy just as tightly as fear. The heart hesitates to embrace happiness, wary of the betrayal of ephemeral delight. A dance of contradictions plays out, where joy is both sought and feared, as though its fleeting nature would cast darker shadows in its wake. The narrative we spin whispers warnings of loss and disappointment, masking the beauty of the present in a shroud of what-ifs. Yet, joy is not an illusion to be feared, but an invitation to live fully in each moment's light. Embracing joy becomes a practice of vulnerability, where gratitude whispers us back to presence, connecting the fleeting echoes of now with the timeless rhythm of life. And then there is success, a paradox that beckons with one hand while pushing away with the other. Success, clad in the garb of new expectations and potential failures, threatens to shift the axis of familiar identity. To succeed is to transgress the borders of self-imposed limitations, to step into a realm of capacity unknown. In the fear of success lies a resistance, the heart retreating before its own latent power, a defence wrapped in the guise of humility. Yet within the reflection of success lies the mirror of self-worth, the acceptance of one's potential, and the acknowledgement of inner strength. To walk this path is to reclaim agency, to step boldly into the light of one's own becoming. It is in the landscape of our psyche that emotional memory nestles silently, like a tale half remembered, guiding us unseen yet profoundly. The past resonates in silent refrain, dictating behaviour long after its first conception, imprinting upon us patterns of avoidance that linger like ghostly echoes. Jung's teachings encourage a dialogue with these inner shadows, these fragments of self held in tension. By lowering these defences, we step into the underworld of our subconscious, traversing the echoes of unhealed wounds. In this quiet inquiry, we find space to breathe, to forgive, and to finally understand our own narratives. Avoidance exacts a silent toll, robbing life of its depth and resonance. Decisions are shaped by fear when they might blossom from potential. To avoid emotions is to sidestep the symphony of life, living in the margins rather than embracing the full spectrum of existence. By confronting the shadows, one finds an opportunity, not in obliteration but in acceptance. The sacrifice of avoidance is transcended in moments of courage, where whispered fears are given voice, and in doing so, grant freedom. As we step gently past the veils of avoidance, we embrace the vast interiors of our own emotional landscapes. Like a sacred journal read aloud by firelight, each page turned reveals potential and possibility. Carl Jung's wisdom echoes softly. Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling. It is here, amidst the quiet union of these elements, that peace unfolds, whispering freedom and transformation to a world newly bathed in light. In welcoming avoidance as a guide rather than a captor, we find a journey toward wholeness where none existed, a promise of healing woven in the fabric of our rediscovered dreams. In the vast and intricate labyrinth of our psyche, nestled within shadows cast by distant stars, dwells the enigmatic figure of the saboteur. Like a creature born of paradox, it guards and restrains, its form flickering between the polarities of protection and inhibition. Rooted in the fertile soil of Carl Jung's shadow concept, this aspect of ourselves represents fragments we've cast aside in our quest for acceptance and safety within the tapestry of our social world. Yet as we stand at the quiet crossroads of understanding, the saboteur presents itself not as an adversary, but as a misunderstood ally. Here in the dim glow of realization, we begin unraveling the complex webs of behaviour it inspires. Imagine a deep-seated fear of vulnerability manifesting as a reluctance to commit, thus shielding us from the possibility of pain. This gentle shift in perspective transforms sabotage from an adversary into a survival mechanism born from past echoes projected onto the canvas of present behaviour. By envisioning the saboteur as a protector from the wounds of yesteryears, we open a space for self-compassion, crafting a bridge of understanding in our inner world. Despite its well-meant intentions, the saboteur often wields tools that hinder genuine growth, sowing a perennial conflict within the garden of our souls. It feels as though parts of our psyche remain frozen, forever trapped in an ancient narrative, blind to the evolution beyond their time. These behaviours echo the psyche's outdated operating system, resistant to change and unyielding to reinvention. Encouraged by this understanding, we embark on a delicate expedition inward, confronting archaic beliefs and fears orphaned within our shadow. Illuminating these concealed aspects invites us to reconcile with our inner guardian, transforming its protective embrace into a collaborator in our quest for healing and growth. The saboteur's essence often traces back to the tender landscapes of childhood, where instinctual drives were born to protect the vulnerable inner child from perceived threats to safety and belonging. Within the shadow, emotions and memories lie dormant, yet potent, waiting for their stories to be heard. Picture a child who, in silence, subdued their anger in a tempestuous household, later growing into an adult haunted by this suppression, evoked as passive aggression, dancing in the shadows of their relationships. Our task, then, becomes one of reconciliation, gently inviting the saboteur to lay down its outdated arms. This journey into the depths of our shadow is not merely an exercise in exposure, but a tender exploration of the logic behind its formation, a process requiring patience and nurturing. It echoes the inner child's voice that continues to reverberate through our adult lives. As we decode the intentions of our inner saboteur, we reclaim fragmented parts cloaked in fear and misunderstanding. This is not about exile, but integration, where the wisdom harboured within these darkened corners informs our growth rather than constrains it. Recognising the saboteur's protective motives casts a compassionate light on our internal landscapes, allowing us to recalibrate our narratives to align with the world as it is, rather than as it was. Beneath the threshold of conscious awareness lies the insidious influence of the saboteur, operating in the shadowed corners where logic rarely treads. These patterns, though repetitive, are not always immediately apparent, reflecting the deeply rooted nature of their origin. Through conscious reflection, we illuminate these cycles, revealing the unconscious script beneath our missteps. Consider the soul, whose fear of failure masquerades as procrastination. On the surface, delaying tasks seems like simple dawdling, yet it conceals a more profound dread of shattering internalized expectations. In this exploration, curiosity replaces condemnation, and each self-sabotaging act becomes a breadcrumb on the path to understanding. Shifting our lens from judgment to exploration allows us to see beyond the immediate, to realize that the saboteur is less interested in preventing failure than in preserving an outdated self-image. Each unmasked pattern offers insights into unspoken agreements we've quietly made with ourselves without our conscious consent. Observing our actions without judgment enables us to recognize the saboteur's patterns as messages from our psyche, signaling the need for integration. By acknowledging these messages with compassion, we transform the cycle of sabotage into pathways of empowered growth. Within each of us, there resides a graceful dance between light and shadow, a perpetual interplay between dreams harboured in consciousness and defences whispered by the unconscious. This acceptance of duality invites us to acknowledge these intertwined aspects as the essence of our identity. Delving into the shadow's depths with awareness illuminates concealed fears and motivations, guiding us toward individuation, the sacred dance of becoming whole. It is not about eradicating darkness, but weaving it into our narrative, allowing both light and dark to coexist, creating a story rich in authenticity and inner harmony. This dance fosters a deeper connection with the self, guiding us gently toward a transformative journey where existence is enriched by self-discovery, illuminating our path home to our authentic selves. Imagine emotions as the silent whisperers of the soul, speaking in a tongue that wends its way through both the universal and the deeply personal. These are the echoes of our most profound memories and instincts, rising from the depths like ancient tides. Often misunderstood as random intrusions or inconvenient disruptions, emotions are the raw threads that weave the fabric of our daily lives. Yet they are not errors. They are keys to the hidden chambers of the psyche, each one carrying a secret to our deeper selves. When we perceive emotions as clues instead of curses, we step into a space of active listening and discovery. The words of Carl Jung resonate here as he once said, "Emotion is the chief source of all becoming conscious. It is emotions that light the path inward, leading us to confront both the shadowy corners and radiant beams of our inner world." Understanding that emotions are guides, not adversaries, helps unravel the myths of stoicism, often glorified by society. Emotional literacy becomes a tender venture into this rich terrain, translating anger into signals of boundaries unheeded, sadness into the song of unmet needs, and anxiety into the herald of change. Beneath each emotional layer lie unhealed and ancient echoes beckoning for our attention. This exploration is more than a quest. It's a transformative odyssey where buried memories unfold, pushing us towards healing and awareness. Through this odyssey, emotions are not burdens but catalysts, urging us to rewrite the narrative of conflict into stories of resilience and growth. At times, emotional flashbacks propel us into a surreal dance between past and present. These are moments where an event sparks an intense emotional storm, seemingly disproportionate to its cause. It mirrors past traumas, dragging unhealed emotions to the forefront, demanding recognition. Unlike the orderly process of cognitive memories, emotional memories surge forth unbidden, clenching our being in a cycle of reaction. Flashbacks remind us that healing isn't a straight path, it's a spiral, with past footprints imprinting the present sands. We are called to face our unfinished stories with gentility, holding our frailty without judgment. Each flashback asks us to engage with these memories, imbuing them with insight instead of shame. Overreactions too can seem like emotional avalanches, but they are not failings. They are indicators, revealing the simmering reservoirs of unhealed wounds within us. Each exaggerated response is a flare from the depths, begging us to see and attend to the pain it has guarded for so long. The art of understanding overreactions begins with shifting our gaze to curiosity instead of judgment. What we often perceive as missteps become messages, insisting that we explore the hidden triggers, inviting us to dive deeply into the well of our emotional being. Within us all is a quiet companion known as emotional fatigue. This pervasive weariness often masks itself as mere tiredness, yet it speaks eloquently of the emotional burdens we bear. It whispers of the necessity to tend to our inner garden. Neglect and accumulated stress weigh down our spirits, but fatigue serves as our silent sentinel. It nudges us towards rest and reflection, asking us to replenish what has been depleted. As we lean into mindfulness and gentle curiosity, fatigue is transformed from a heavy cloak to a gentle guide, reminding us to pause, breathe, and renew. Emotions, in their swirling dance, hold messages woven into their tapestry. According to Jungian wisdom, they are the language of the psyche, bursting with insight. Beyond the immediate, they map the subconscious desires, fears, and dreams held deep within. By perceiving emotions as communicators, not just reactions, we engage with our inner landscape. Each emotion is a signpost on the journey of self-discovery and change. Anger may whisper of boundaries, sadness of reflection, fear of potential yet unseen. Embracing emotions invites an unraveling of their myriad layers, sifting through personal history and social conditioning to reveal the subconscious drives that propel us. In this exploration, even emotions we deem negative unveil layers of awakening and growth. They are guides, pointing us towards profound awareness. Anger, for instance, reveals boundaries needed. Sadness calls for introspection, and fear echoes potentials untapped. Each emotion carries us closer to understanding our unique path. Emotional clarity is our lantern through which we journey with our inner selves, discerning the deeper truths within our turbulent seas. Seeking this clarity is a commitment to observing emotions without judgment. daring to face their complexity with compassion. It becomes not just a tool for navigating the present, but a guide towards understanding our shifting terrains. Prioritizing practices like meditation or contemplative journaling nurtures the roots of emotional clarity, distilling the essence of our emotional encounters. As clarity emerges, it aligns emotions with core values and aspirations, forging a coherent vision of self. This clarity guides personal transformation, reconciling inner discord while nurturing resilience. Let us then cherish emotions as the messengers they are, guiding us to peace and self-discovery on this continuous journey toward understanding. In the quiet depths of Jungian psychology, projection emerges as an inner whisper, a subtle dance where the mind, in its mysterious wisdom, reflects its own shadows upon the world. Carl Jung, whose insights weave the fabric of this understanding, saw projection as a silent transfer, a kind of soulful sleight of hand, where our hidden thoughts and unvoiced feelings spill over into others, casting them in roles they did not choose. Here in this mirrored world, our wounds paint the landscapes of our relationships, turning neutral arenas into battlegrounds of the unhealed. But what is projection if not a plea from the depths for recognition? It acts not as our adversary, but as a gentle teacher, showing us the unclaimed parts of our soul longing for attention. When we view this through the tender eyes of Jungian thought, we see in each projection an invitation to pause, to turn inwards and question, what part of my being resonates with this reflection? Embracing this chance for introspection, we bridge the chasms within, leading our wandering, self-sabotaging tendencies back home to the heart. Yet, left unchecked, projections weave veils of illusion, distorting our perceptions, transforming the familiar faces of lovers and friends into distorted mirrors of our past fears. Lovers in particular may become shadows of our earliest attachments, echoing unresolved stories or deep-seated anxieties. Friendships cloaked in these shades sometimes morph into silent duels shadowed by envy or suspicion. The cycle spins around, assumptions born from long-forgotten moments, inviting us to face them with gentleness. To untangle these distorted threads, we must practice deep awareness, lovingly questioning the feelings that surface in our interactions with others. Every moment of irritation or distrust can be our guide, asking gently, is this about them or is it a reflection of me? With patience and curiosity, we begin to clear the fog, seeing others not as adversaries, but as companions in the shared journey of emotional discovery. In embracing those who seem to irritate us, we find a golden key to self-understanding. Jung reminded us that what irks us about another can lead us down the garden paths of our own psyche. By welcoming these qualities that disturb us, we engage not in battle but in a dance of acceptance. We tenderly gather these reflections, transforming adversaries into guides, shadows into instruments of self-discovery. This journey requires courage to explore our depths, gently navigating the stories our projections tell about our past. Each projection, like a breadcrumb, leads us back to the heart of an experience long buried. By shining light into these hidden corridors, we reclaim lost stories, unshackling ourselves from the cycles of behaviour they have fostered. The art of self-reflection, with its quiet grace, invites us to pause and listen deeply. Here lies a practice that calls for more than mere observation. It is a dance of acceptance, a slow unveiling of the psyche's hidden faces without judgment. As we peel away these layers, We reclaim parts of ourselves once banished to the shadows, allowing projections to transform from barriers into bridges toward understanding. Living beyond our projections, we enter a new realm of interaction, where our relationships bask in the soft glow of authenticity. Here, each encounter unfolds like a shared meditation, free from the constraints of outdated fears. We connect without the filters of our past wounds, engaging with the souls before us in their true beauty, nurturing bonds rooted in genuine empathy and understanding. To navigate these landscapes of shadow, we employ gentle tools: journaling, meditation, and inquiry, each acting as a compass pointing inward. Through journaling, we follow the flow of our thoughts, revealing narratives tucked away in the corners of our mind like delicate treasures. Meditation offers a sanctuary of stillness, where we meet our thoughts without attachment, allowing them to drift by like clouds. Inquiry, in its subtle probing, guides our understanding, gently uncovering the roots of our reactions. Breaking free from projection cycle asks us to take responsibility for our inner realms. It is a commitment to recognizing and transforming the stories that bind us. By patiently unraveling these tales, one thread at a time, we liberate ourselves from the false perceptions they weave, revealing a landscape of possibility where the soul moves freely, unburdened by ancient echoes. As the shadows lift, the light of self-worth emerges, a gentle yet profound reclamation of our inherent value. No longer do we seek validation from without. Instead, we find it resting quietly within us. Boundaries, like soft shields of love, protect this sacred inner space, allowing us to venture out into the world with grace and authenticity. True wholeness is found not in the pursuit of perfection, but in the tender embrace of all we are. It is a dance of integration, where every aspect of our being finds a place in the symphony. Our perceptions, once clouded by projections, now sing the harmonies of soul's journey toward peace. Embracing this completeness, we let go of chasing ideals, standing instead in the gentle power of our truest self. In this place, we are whole, beautifully, tenderly whole. In the dim corridors of the mind, a quiet trial unfolds, woven from emotions both ancient and fresh. Here in this introspective courtroom, shame and guilt play their haunting roles, casting shadows over our hearts. Picture this place, a tapestry intricately spun from echoes of past words and unspoken fears, where we often find ourselves standing as both judge and judged. Shame, that whisper of worthlessness seeded in tender years, grows in the shadow of disapproving gazes or the silent heaviness of unmet expectations. It takes root deep within, becoming an inseparable part of our inner fabric. Guilt stands beside it, not as an idle spectator but as a murmuring refrain, calling forth every small misstep and turning it into a perceived moral failing. Together, these emotions transform our mind into a relentless tribunal, replaying each perceived failure on an endless loop. In this ceaseless trial, we play all roles: prosecutor, judge, defendant. A solemn dance that Jung himself recognized within the shadow self. He understood these emotions not as mere reactions, but as the soul's plea for understanding, a call for reconciliation that often goes unheard. Instead of aiding our journey towards self-awareness, this courtroom drama can bind us to cycles of self-sabotage, making us unknowingly cling to a verdict of unworthiness. Yet we hold on to these roles tightly, for within them lies the illusion of control. By meting out punishment and judgment upon ourselves, we believe we are safeguarding against future pain. But the truth is, liberation lies not within these walls of endless trials, but through a gentle acceptance and integration of our shadows. Within this shadowed theatre, shame weaves its complex veils, elusive and cunning. It disguises itself, cloaking its presence beneath anger's fiery mask or the cold retreat of isolation. This master of disguise roots deeply, born from whispered inadequacies and unmet ideals. Sometimes shame drives us to reach for impossible heights to mask our fears. At other times, it encloses us in solitude's embrace. The poet John Bradshaw described shame as the swampland of the soul, a murky domain where self-sabotaging behaviours sprout. Here worthlessness flourishes, convincing us our dreams are out of reach, not for lack of desire, but due to an ingrained belief that happiness is a distant, unattainable echo. Guilt, meanwhile, wields the gavel over our actions, casting judgment not on who we are but on what we do. It can paralyse or propel, urging corrective paths when anchored in our values, or ensnaring us in the web of overgrown neurosis. Jung understood this cycle, an inexorable pull towards repeating mistakes in a futile bid to rewrite history. Redemption is not found through penance alone, but through delving into the depths of our motivations and fears. By acknowledging guilt's narrative, by welcoming it into the light of understanding, we dissolve its hold, freeing ourselves from the inner jury's relentless gaze. To dismantle the internal judge that perpetuates this cycle, we must engage in a process of revelation and reconciliation. This judge is but an echo of past criticisms and societal norms internalized over a lifetime. Its verdicts are swift, its decrees unforgiving, yet its power is levied not through wisdom, but perceived authority. By peeling back the layers of its origins, we shift power away from the judge's unwavering hold, embracing understanding over instinctive self-recrimination. Within this journey lies the sanctuary of self-compassion, the gateway to dismantling the courtroom within. Unlike self-pity's isolating embrace, self-compassion entwines our suffering with shared humanity, softening the sharp edges of judgment. As Jung beckoned us towards individuation, the harmonious self, he urged us to meet flaws with kindness. This shift transforms destructive behaviours into pathways of growth, lighting the shadowed recesses of doubt and fear. Through self-compassion, healing becomes not a rejection of the shadow, but an integration of it. Embrace responsibility not as a synonym for guilt, but as a call to aligned action. Thus, empowerment arises. This perspective invites us to see accountability as a sculptor of our destinies, crafting paths for growth. Jung urged movement beyond the ego's confines and to become architects of our narrative rather than prisoners of circumstance. As we confront the narratives within, we find alignment and agency, transforming sabotage into stories of resilience. This transformative journey is personal and profound, an odyssey towards the wholeness woven into our narratives. As Jung noted, the wound is where light finds entry, a reminder that fractures may birth growth. Healing is not linear nor bound by clocks. It's a steadfast commitment to ourselves, a passage towards intrinsic worth. Through this evolution comes a shift, from a world ruled by criticism to one kissed by empathy. Sabotage loses its grasp as we honour our scars as tales of strength. This chapter ends, but the journey unfolds anew, an invitation to peel back layers, embracing wisdom with tender grace. In the quiet alcove of our inner world, we must prepare for a sacred dialogue with our wounds. This is a space untouched by haste or judgment, a realm where vulnerability is cherished. Picture a sanctuary within your psyche, a serene room where wounded selves are gently invited to speak. Each wound carries its own story, and listening is not about rushing to solutions, but about offering a refuge for their narratives to unfold. In this nurturing silence, free from the clutches of time, we immerse ourselves in the gentle act of listening. Imagine approaching this sacred space as if setting the stage for a timeless play. We begin with mindfulness, grounding ourselves in the gentle embrace of the present. The ego, often a sentinel guarding the gates of control, is asked to rest, allowing a more tender state of being to emerge. Visualize the wound as an honoured guest deserving of our full attention and care. As our dialogue unfolds, we acknowledge that transformation need not be rushed. The essence is in meeting the wound, introducing ourselves, and allowing it the chance to express itself free from fear of retribution. Silence here is not empty, it is a profound act of listening. Our wounds speak a language unfamiliar to the conscious ear. They murmur through emotions, paint pictures in the mind, and echo through memories. Each emotion is a dialect. Fear whispers urgently. Sadness chants a mournful dirge. These voices, often lost amidst the day's noise, require a quiet mind to interpret their truths. In dreams or déjà vu, wounds reveal their stories. As we learn to listen with intuition and empathy, each wound begins to unravel, sharing the wisdom hidden within its burden. Once we discern the language of our wounds, we step into an imaginal dialogue where the shadow self becomes a partner rather than a foe. With imagination as our guide, we voyage beyond the ordinary into the symbolic realm where the wound resides. Here we visualize speaking with our pain, perhaps as a younger self or an abstract entity. This dialogue is not to reprimand, but to connect, bridging the conscious with the unconscious mind. We pose gentle, open-ended inquiries. What do you need? Inviting the shadow to reveal its secrets. This approach respects the shadow not as a saboteur, but as a bearer of wisdom. In this sacred conversation, potential for integration emerges, turning shadows into wise companions, imparting insights through this profound dialogue. To engage fully in this dialogue, we must witness without judgment. We suspend the instinct to label feelings as good or bad, allowing them to simply be messengers from our inner world. As observers, we let our wounds express themselves without fear of critique. This is mindfulness in action, acknowledging thoughts and feelings without entanglement. Embracing this stance transforms, inviting deeper acceptance of our entire emotional spectrum. As we accept, we unravel defences that have long silenced our wounds, communicating worthiness of love and laying the groundwork for healing. As dialogue evolves, the notion of reparenting arises, a process of self-care and nurturing reminiscent of the love and support we may have missed in earlier years. By becoming a compassionate parent to our inner child, we provide the understanding and validation it craves. Reparenting involves setting healthy boundaries and affirming self-worth. We tell our wounds their feelings are valid, releasing burdens they've carried. Over time, this practice cultivates resilience, transforming how we relate to ourselves and others. As nurturing parents, we mend fractured perceptions of self-worth, guiding us toward wholeness. Meditation serves as a powerful ally, offering the stillness needed to delve into our subconscious. In meditation, we observe thoughts without attachment, probing the origins of our wounds. This internal silence allows us to hear the whispers of deep fears and anxieties. Through centering and opening ourselves, meditation creates a safe haven for wounded selves to emerge. Guided meditations invite us to visualize encounters with shadows or wounds, providing insight into unresolved psyche matters. As meditation becomes a regular practice, long-forgotten emotions arise, granting the wounds space to articulate truths without interruption. This meditative dialogue nurtures acceptance and trust. Journaling, too, offers a means to engage with wounds, a tangible outlet for expression and reflection. In writing, we converse with our wounded parts, offering a voice, allowing for catharsis and self-exploration. With each entry, inner turmoil externalizes, enabling examination from new perspectives. We track patterns, ask probing questions, and uncover truths about self-sabotage. As journaling deepens, it transforms, empowering us to narrate our stories with care and facilitating healing. Through visualization, we explore a realm where we meet and reconcile with our wounds. Imagination creates vivid landscapes, allowing for dialogue with younger selves or abstract fears. This visual exchange empowers us to reframe narratives, explore emotional outcomes, and rewrite responses in our psyche. This approach nurtures a collaborative inner world where pain transforms into wisdom naturally. Acceptance underpins every interaction, a gentle acknowledgement that every part of ourselves is integral to the whole. We welcome our wounds, viewing them as teachers. Acceptance breaks cycles of shame, inviting harmony within. Here, wounds coexist with our strengths, merging into a balanced sense of identity that appreciates human intricacies. In the continuum of inner work, dialogue with the wound is an evolving symphony. Initial efforts may yield subtle shifts, but the foundation for change is laid with patience. Each conversation unveils layers, revealing truths at each step, crafting a richer understanding. Accepting this journey fosters resilience and commitment to self-discovery, leading us closer to the wholeness that transcends wounds. A space where shadows dissolve, revealing an authentic self. In the quiet sanctuary of your inner world, there lies an unseen saboteur, an overzealous guardian whose intentions, though seemingly misguided, are nestled deeply within the embrace of fear. This protector, driven by an instinct to shield you from emotional turbulence, clings to strategies such as avoidance and self-doubt. Yet through the gentle awakening of introspection, you glimpse a transformation, an opportunity to unravel hostility and open the doorway to compassion. As these tangled intentions take shape, they reveal barriers cloaked as self-protection that inhibit the garden of personal growth. By recognizing this paradox, an invitation emerges to transcend mere survival and invite self-respect into your life. Journey inward with a tender heart, for profound self-awareness begins with a deliberate pause, a moment to listen to the symphony of your inner dialogues and observe how emotions dance when old triggers beckon. In the sacred stillness of introspection, you illuminate shadowy patterns, unveiling how reflexive defences have, over time, replaced self-respect. Such reflection fuels transformation, for understanding blossoms into compassionate engagement with oneself, sowing the seeds of a relationship that matures through patience and acceptance. The path continues through the reframing of boundaries, those ethereal lines drawn not in fear, but in honour of the self. Often mistaken as barricades, they now stand as sacred declarations, standards born of respect and understanding for who you truly are. Boundaries born from fear can imprison, yet when infused with genuine choice, they become nurturing ecosystems where the spirit flourishes. Through this lens, boundaries assert self-knowledge and promise tenderness, ensuring your emotional landscape remains vibrant and secure. Then comes the power of silence, a feared yet profound tool for personal evolution. In this hushed space, the cacophony of life quiets, leaving room for the soul's soft whisper. Silence is not emptiness. It is a sacred altar where introspection reigns. Here you recalibrate your internal compass, allowing insights to blossom into respect and wisdom. Within this solitude, you listen, not just outwardly, but inwardly, nurturing self-respect through the humble acceptance of your hidden depths. Honesty, a torch illuminating the path from protection to self-respect, emboldens you to dismantle deceptive illusions, justifying self-sabotage. With courage, you face discomfort, unraveling narratives woven by protective defences. This truth-sharing transforms awareness into action, clearing debris and inviting healthier choices aligned with authentic self-value. Embrace this honesty to transcend self-deception, building a foundation upon which integrity blooms. This journey further demands emotional honesty, where truths uncurtained by conformity or fear emerge into the light. Confront emotions with sincerity, freeing them from the veils woven by a cautious saboteur. By recognizing these truths, embrace your reality tenderly, allowing genuine respect to supplant outdated defenses. As emotions shift from adversaries to allies, they reveal clarity and resolution, enriching empathy and fostering meaningful connections. Through this evolution, personal sovereignty emerges, a reclamation of inherent power. As you honour your truths, the interior kingdom flourishes, guided by the values discovered in introspection. Sovereignty transcends reactive living, becoming an intentional narrative guided by self-respect. It signifies mastery over internal landscapes, actions aligned with principles rather than yielding to external pressures. Herein lies true power, a harmonious governance within that initiates clarity, purpose, and graceful interaction with the world. At this junction, rituals stand as beloved companions, anchoring self-respect in everyday life. Simple, sacred acts like journaling or meditation call you home to promises made unto yourself, reinforcing proactive self-care. In these ritualistic sanctuaries, self-respect flourishes from intangible intention to tangible expressions of being. Viewed thus, rituals are sacred rhythms affirming life, gently weaving respect into the fabric of daily existence. To honour this newfound respect, embrace the art of letting go, releasing outdated narratives, fears, and limitations. Practice non-attachment, not as indifference, but as freedom from fear-bound clinging. Understand that liberation lies in acknowledging emotional investments inhibiting growth, inviting instead the birth of new, soulful chapters. Here, authenticity shines, as self-respect emerges liberated and unencumbered by the weight of past defences. As this story gently unfurls, you engage in the pursuit of wholeness, a harmonious integration of wisdom drawn from each phase of growth. Imagine stitching together the tapestry of your life, a rich weave of shadows and light, frailties and strengths. Here lies the wisdom of integration, a journey where self-respect is both a companion and a beacon, guiding you ever towards embracing life's endless possibilities. With courage and grace, you continue onward, nurturing the sacred dance of self-respect that eternally evolves, ever enriching the beauty of your being. Amid the whispers of self-evolution, where the human spirit seeks a fleeting mirage of perfection, lies a profound truth. Wholeness transcends the pristine image that perfection adorns. In a dance of light and shadow, a delicate balance unfolds, revealing authenticity woven with threads of humanity's stranded imperfections. We embark on a journey, not in pursuit of unblemished accolades, but toward embracing the wisdom housed in our flawed and exquisite nature. The mirage of perfection beckons like a siren song, a shimmering illusion promising refuge from inadequacy deeply coded into our earliest wounds. We've been led to mistake the absence of faults for genuine self-worth, sashaying away from authenticity. Such a chase feeds the cycle of self-sabotage, shifting our focus to a veneer of invulnerability. By unraveling this construct, we allow ourselves to embrace the infinite beauty rooted in our messy, imperfect journey. Wholeness, unlike its illusory counterpart, glorifies the totality of human experiences, both the luminous joys and the sorrowful depths. Imagine shifting from a narrow path of linear progress to a circular dance, where every step, misstep or serendipity is a vital part of the symphony. This change opens a door to a more compassionate embrace of self, transforming so-called failures into stepping stones of insight. By greeting our imperfections with kindness, we knit every facet of our being into a rich tapestry. A fluid dialogue between the conscious self and the vast, often turbulent unconscious. In the silence of introspection, a gift emerges from our wounds. Like alchemical gold, these pains, if viewed through tender eyes, hold the power of profound inner wisdom. The initial sting of our wounds urges confrontation with neglected facets of self, leading to acceptance and profound transformation. In recognizing wounds as teachers, we pivot from viewing ourselves as fractured beings to seeing ourselves as whole, engaged in an enduring process of becoming. Vulnerability becomes our ally on this transformative journey, often stigmatized but essential in weaving authentic connections. The courage to be vulnerable leads us from isolation into the embrace of empathetic understanding. As Brené Brown's research illuminates, vulnerability is the key to a richer, more meaningful existence. By acknowledging our wounds and inviting empathy toward them, we dismantle the walls that fortify isolation and shame, turning wounds into harbingers of profound change. This process of integration, central to Jungian psychology, harmonizes discordant parts of self into a cohesive whole. Embracing both conscious desires and unconscious motives, the shadow, those disowned traits, becomes a source of vitality when integrated. As we welcome rather than repel the shadow, the energy expended in maintaining internal divisions transforms into creativity and compassion. Integration demands courage, confronting uncomfortable truths, yet it liberates us, allowing for a life lived with clarity and resilience. Inner alchemy, echoing ancient mystic traditions, transforms psychological lead into the gold of understanding. Through reflection and emotional labour, what once weighed us down becomes our strength. This inward transmutation mirrors solve et coagula, wherein old patterns dissolve, paving new realms of enlightenment. The alchemical journey, often marked by patient practice, reveals subtler shifts over grand epiphanies. Tools like journaling and mindfulness sharpen our awareness, helping us discern and transform reactive patterns into informed choices. Crucial is the understanding that self-worth emanates from within, untethered from the fickle winds of external validation. Often our self-appraisal is entangled with achievement, chaining our worth to fleeting accolades. However, true self-worth invites a shift from doing to being, fostering a peace that external circumstances cannot unseat. This internal anchor allows us to face life's fluctuations with grace, transforming self-sabotage into empowered growth. The liberation of letting go is a gentle paradox, demanding a courageous surrender. Rather than dismiss pain, it calls for an acceptance of impermanence. As we release outdated narratives, we invite the natural ebb and flow of life, fostering a boundless openness where creativity and love flourish. Letting go aligns with mindful engagement, allowing thoughts to rise and fall without ensnaring us, cultivating spaciousness for authentic connections. Boundary formations are essential in architecting self-respect, delineating between our needs and relational dynamics. Boundaries, misunderstood as barriers, are in fact bridges, preventing betrayal of self while encouraging honest, thriving connections. Through self-awareness and assertiveness, we craft boundaries that balance flexibility with clarity, an enduring structure for mutual respect and vibrant interaction. The essence of wholeness is found in self-authorship, an evolving narrative written by our own hand. In asking who we are beyond imposed roles and external judgments, we reclaim our stories, crafting them with authenticity and personal values. This journey necessitates confronting inherited beliefs, shaping our path through introspection and dialogue. Rich with purpose and integrity, self-authorship transforms sabotage into conscious creation. Forgiveness is the soul's resurrection, transcending the burden of past grievances. While it does not excuse wrongdoing, forgiveness releases energy tied to resentment, nurturing growth. Focus first on self-forgiveness, which dismantles years of guilt and extends outward, fostering reconciliation. This practice becomes a journey, fostering relationships reflective of inner integrity. As we draw this chapter to a close, let healing resonate as a continuous journey, where every struggle uncovers deeper truths and the self blossoms in wholeness. Embracing this eternal dance of becoming, we witness ourselves anew, threading intention and action into the story's fabric. With courage and an open heart, we return again to self, forging lives enriched with joy and connection. If you found solace and insight in this narrative, remember to like and connect with our channel, nurturing more shared moments of reflection and growth.